All right.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So, hi, welcome and to Hello Main Street, where we talk about thought-provoking business tips for fellow entrepreneurs. I am your host, Monica Sanchez, and I'm coming to you straight from the heart of Central Washington here in Yakima. And my co-host today is Amanda Frank. So, welcome, Amanda. I'm glad you're here with us today. And our special guest, we want to thank is Ari Laguna. She owns Professional Training Center, and she is my go-to person for anything insurance related as far as conversations and knowing about laws and things like that. So, we're going to touch on some really good topics today about long term care and then also just about insurance in general and how we can continue from there. So, welcome, you guys. Thank you so much for being here with me. And so, Ari, so tell us a little bit more about you because I knew you grew up in this area,
I
and then
did.
we'll go from there.
I did. So I grew up in Eastern Washington. I moved away and I was basically in Seattle for about 30 years, came back. So I'm back here. I own Professional Training Center, which is the only pre-licensing education school near Idaho, Oregon, and Montana, and Washington. So we get students from as far away as Montana, so that's always nice. We do the pre-licensing education for the state of Washington here for life insurance, disability, property, and casualty. So auto and home, which most people know as auto and home. So we do that. We also do securities. We do the 6 and 63 and the SIE for securities world. We do continuing education for both of those industries currently right now. We'd like to get into more, but for right now, we focus on insurance and securities world. Mostly insurance. I'd say 90% of my business comes from insurance world and any agents out there that are looking for that.
Yeah, and wonderful. And what I love is you have a high percent rate of people passing. It's in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Has it changed?
It goes up and down, so every once in a while, I get a really smart bunch for about 3 months, and it'll make the ratios go up because they only do it, quarterly, so
Okay.
every 3 months, it just changes, but it averages somewhere around, between 78 to 87, so it just depends on the quarter, so
Okay.
I could say something this month, the next month, it'll be different, so but
Yeah.
it's usually up there. Most people do pass 80%, I would say, is an average.
Okay. That's awesome. So,
Yeah.
and I know that you have an event coming up. It's June 20th, I believe,
Yes.
correct?
Correct, that one.
From
Mhm.
9 to 12, I believe.
Yeah,
Is
and
that
so we're
accurate?
gonna have that. Yeah, so we're gonna have that here in our Kennewick office. We are having
Okay.
a live lecture, continuing education ethics course. So that's for everybody who is needing to get their license renewed. It's a 3-hour ethics course. It's a mandatory course for the state of Washington. And if you'd like
Hmm.
to attend that at no cost, please send us an email. You'll see the email there on the ticker on the bottom, or you can also call us. It will be from 9 a.m. until 12 p.m. And so we look forward to doing our first continuing education here in Kennewick. So as a live lecture since COVID. So yes, we're finally
Yeah.
going to start doing those again. And they will be continuing every 3 months. So every
Okay.
June, September, we'll have another one. And December, we'll have one as well. So yeah, we
Okay.
look forward to having that back in and look forward to, seeing space is limited. So please let us
Mhm.
know if you're going to be attending.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
So
in
yeah,
person only. It's not a hybrid where some people can be online. They actually have to be in person.
yeah, they
Um,
actually, to
okay.
get the credit, you'll need to be here in person. Now, if
Okay.
you'd like, I can always send it to you. But that will require a test. So if you're getting it emailed out to you, but just let us know. Be more than happy
Okay.
to send that out to you guys.
Perfect. I love that. So thank you so much. And I will be there. So I'm
Thank
excited. So
you.
I can keep
Yes.
my
Yes.
continuing education going.
Yay.
Uh, and so Amanda is in real estate, but then I know she also deals with other businesses as well. And so one of the topics that I know for some reason it felt like it was a big topic back in 2020, was it 2019 when long-term care they started rolling that information out, and then there was a lot of panic. People were like, let's get in there, let's get stuff done and all of that, and then it just kind of went away, and now it's popped up, but it's different. So you want to explain that a little? And Amanda, feel free to jump in with questions you may have. So
I don't know much about insurance. So when you say insurance, I get freaked out. Um, I do
As you
understand the
should.
difference, life and car, I mean, I get it. But when you start talking to me about, deductibles, I mean, is literally like I'm blindfolded. I don't understand. And I feel like a lot of people are the same way. So
Yeah,
a lot of the things that you're talking about, that's difficult for a lot of people to understand, and it freaks me out because I don't understand it.
Right.
right, right.
So, the fact that we're told we have to have insurance, or we just don't have enough information.
That's
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
There is, insurance is something that it really astounds me that people pay it every month, yet never know what they actually have. So, but they send their money every month and they never really know what they're quite covered for. And
Yeah.
so it is a mystery to most people until you have a claim. And
Mhm.
then it doesn't become a mystery anymore. You find out really fast what type of coverage you have and what you've been paying for.
Yeah.
And I would say the best rule of thumb is that just because you're paying insurance doesn't mean that you have full limits of coverage for anything. So
Well, and
that's really
I want
important.
to speak along those lines too, because I know I have my insurance license still, right? And
Mhm.
when I was practicing insurance, people would come in and they would always say, "I have full coverage."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "That doesn't mean anything." Like, that's
it
like going
doesn't.
to a doctor and saying, "I take antibiotics."
Right,
Okay,
right,
great.
Yeah.
What's it for?
right,
How long? What's the prescription? There's a lot of
right.
details behind it, and it is,
Yeah,
I feel, Amanda, I agree with you. Like, before I got into insurance, it's like it feels like a complete mystery, and it feels like you're speaking Chinese when you speak English,
Yeah.
right.
and until you get into it, and even still, I mean, there's times when I have questions and I'm like, I don't quite understand that. And of course, Ari loves that kind of stuff. So I'm like, Ari, and then I get history lesson.
Yeah,
Yep.
then you get a history lesson. Well, back in 1984, right?
When I was 10.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a mystery, and we're not gonna cover, like, everything in a half an hour, right?
Yeah.
But I do wanna tell people that stop thinking about, or even using the phrase full coverage. It is so not something that even exists. So, that is a term used in disability insurance. And full coverage just meant that is as a business owner, if I bought a disability policy, it would cover me at my office and at my house. So that meant I was fully covered the entire time. So that's kind of where that phrase comes from. When you use it for car insurance, most people think they're covered for everything, and that is so not incorrect. What I would switch my wordage up, especially for you agents watching out there, is say full limits, which is customary what a financial institution wants when you're financing something. They want what they call their full limit. So that is what you should use rather than using the term full coverage, because you're not fully covered for anything in car insurance. You're really not. And
Yeah.
the premiums are high,
Mhm.
so most people think, well, I'm paying a lot of money. Of course I'm paying for everything, and they're really not. So
Mhm.
next time just walk into your agent and ask them a question. What am I really covered for and what wouldn't I? And have scenarios and so some examples. If this was to happen, what would be covered by my insurance that I'm currently paying for, rather than trying to guess at it or even coming to a big surprise when you've got a claim. So that's
Yeah.
always the best thing for that. And really having a good connection with your agent is number one,
Yeah.
that. And remember that the commissioner of the state of Washington is there for people. They're really
Mhm.
there to help the individual person maneuver through insurance and what it is and what it's called without having to go to your insurance agent. So the commissioner is there for all the public of the state of Washington, and he's there to answer anything, as well as any answers that you might want still after this conversation about the long-term care, which is now being called the WA Cares Fund.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I'll just get into that if you want. I'm
Yeah.
just a little preliminary. So the fund, this actually happened in 2019,
Mhm.
And I think they kind of put a halt on it because of COVID and everything. But the Governor Inslee actually signed in what was called the Long-Term Care Services and Support Trust Act into law in 2019. Now, it approved, the legislature in Washington actually approved it for all adults with disabilities that have onset to prior to age 18. So what that just means is that it approved it to all adults and anybody with a disability to kind of get into and be able to even get a benefit in this program. So in 2022, last year, people were kind of freaking out about it because it was supposed to start on January 1st, that it was going to start taking out of your paycheck a little bit of money that goes towards long-term care.
Mhm.
And it's really not that much money if you look at it per dollar. It's a little over 20 cents out of your dollar. Not very much comes out of it. It's not going to be like a huge amount that you're going to be like, wow, my paycheck is so much lower. It's not going to be that dramatic for most people. So there's still time to get an exemption. So you still have time to get an exemption for certain groups are exempt already. And in July, workers will start seeing it being taken out of their checks. So workers meaning any person who has signed up to have it taken off, and or you're working an hourly job,
Mhm.
and you will probably see this coming out just like, labor and industries or anything else. And just like the retirement and Social Security, you have to pay into it for 10 years to become eligible to take it out without any 5-year gaps in working history. So you still have to meet some criteria even when you get this fund, this benefit, when you're ready, if you ever need to use it. The most that's going to go per person, and the benefit's going to only be 36,500. Remember, what the state's going to take out of your check is hardly anything. Long-term care is expensive, and the older you are, the more expensive it is.
Well,
So,
and it's also
you
hard.
yeah,
Sorry, Ari, but it's also hard to get long-term care. I mean, I'm in my 50s. Okay, I'm going to
right.
admit it.
Oh, you look
And
great.
thank you, fabulous with my blue hair now. um, and so I try to sign up for long-term care, and I couldn't get it, and I don't take meds. I don't have you know illnesses or anything like that, but it's
Right.
really difficult to try and get it just on your own.
It
And
is.
so I can see the benefit of why they would want to do it, through the state. But then I can see the other side of people like, I don't want that to be taken out. I want to have control over my finances, right, Amanda? And
Right.
Yeah.
and the same thing with somebody who's like, yeah, it's a W-2 person, right? But then what about the people who are self-employed? Like myself, I'm self-employed. I know Amanda is. I
Right.
know you are.
Right.
So how does that impact us, and how can we kind of, what do we do? I mean,
So it
how do we
actually
do
won't impact anybody who's self-employed.
that? Okay.
Only be unless you sign up to get it taken out. So if you're self-employed, now if you're self-employed and you have employees, it will be taken out for them.
Okay.
So that'll just be another tax that will be on there as a mandatory tax to take off in the state of Washington. And
Okay.
really, I mean, I shouldn't call it a tax. Just it's really a premium that you're paying every single month.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be taken out just like Social Security is, just like your unemployment is, just like labor and industries or workers'
Okay.
comp, anything like that. It'll just be something else taken out of your paycheck every month. So, or however you get paid, whether it's biweekly, weekly, or monthly, just
Okay.
depends. So if you are an employee in a W-2, you will definitely see that coming out in July 1st.
July 1st of
So
2023.
yes.
And then question for you. So what does an employer need to know or do? Or I put down below where they can go to get some questions answered, but I don't
Yeah.
know what you have there.
Right. So if an employer uses a company that does that does their payroll,
Uh-huh.
then you don't have to worry about it. They'll be done automatically. You won't have to worry about it. The person doing your payroll is the person that's going to be doing that.
Okay.
Um, and as an employer, you have to be up on the tax rules if you're actually paying someone yourself. So definitely, you'll want to go into the commissioner's website to get more information about how that is done for a self or for an employer,
Okay.
and how that will be taken out. So if you need, especially if you're a small business and you've got like 4 or 5 employees, usually once people get like 2 or 3 employees, once you're hitting like 5 or 6, people start getting a payroll to kind of help you with that because there's
Okay.
so many little things to remember. And we got bigger fish to fry as little employers and little entrepreneurs, right? So
Right.
usually but if you do still have a question, and if you've got 1 or 2 employees and you do the payroll yourself, then definitely you'll need to go in and see if there's something in paperwork that you might have to do. All of the information is on www.insurance.wa.gov, and you'll see in there it tells you who's exempt. um, there's a lot of people that are actually exempt for this. So
Hmm.
now,
Can you tell us
even
kind of some people that would be exempt? And then I have another question. Sorry, Ari,
sure,
I'm filled with
uh-huh,
questions today.
sure,
Um, I saved them all for you.
yeah.
And if somebody is like, okay, I have a couple of employees, right? Maybe 1 or 2, right? Because it's a small business.
Right.
I'm the one who does the books, and I don't really know about this part. Am I going to get penalized, or I go again? We're going to go down to the insurance.wa.gov to get those questions answered. And if it's like these are things that are kind of out of my wheelhouse, then
Mhm.
maybe turfing this over to a bookkeeper who is more versed. I'm not sure.
So usually by now, most employers know they've been sent out things telling them that this is going to be something that starts July 1st. So
Okay.
because we're 2 weeks away from July 1st, so most employers already know that they have to do this. It's those small and tiny little employers that don't know, and like I said, most of them will have to go and make sure they're doing right. But almost everything that when you're doing payroll, there's so many little things to keep up with.
Hmm.
You're getting paperwork and you're getting information sent to you by the state of Washington saying, hey, this is going to go into effect July 1st, and
Okay.
you'll have to subtract that from your employees. So most of them are getting either, so open your mail, don't just throw it away. It's not something that you should just, because I know
Not
many
junk.
people that have a stack of mail,
Yeah.
me including, right, that you have to get to. So make
Yeah.
sure you look at that and make sure you're all in compliance. There'll be leeways for things like that. And there'll be, you've got so many months, and by this day, you've got to do it. If there's any timelines, currently, I don't see any on the commissioner's website, but definitely go into their website and look to see how, as a small employer, and you can even email them. There's a link in there to be able to email them if you have any questions, especially if you are the employer, in plenty of time. They're usually pretty good at getting back to you within 28 to 48 hours.
Hmm.
So it's a really great resource that everybody has access to, for sure. I did want to say, before we get into who's exempt, um, without having to qualify, without having to put in paperwork, who's exempt. I will get into that, but although the benefit starts in on July 1st, and we start taking out basically premium from checks, from employee checks, your benefit, any benefit to the walk cares is not available, and you won't even be able to use it until 2026. So it's still a long ways away. Like anything else, you'll have to put money in for a while before you're able to use this insurance as a benefit. It kind of like acts like Social Security in a way, where it's got to have some time to kind of be there. And then in 2026, there's only a small percentage of people that would actually qualify for the benefit, and that's anybody that's retiring or things like that. But a young person probably wouldn't be able to have access to it until later. And a person, if they're almost going to retire, as long as they've been paying into the walk cares with their paycheck up until 2026 or until they retire, they're eligible for some benefits under the walk cares plan. So yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Amanda, you
any
have any
questions?
questions?
I do. So you recommend that everybody signs up, or is it just specific upon the person? What do you recommend?
Well, this is not something that you're going to be able to sign up for. What you're going to sign up for is either to exempt, otherwise you're paying.
Yeah.
So if you need an exemption, if you meet this, but signing up, I just don't see. I just see a lot of areas in my world because I'm in insurance, so I see when people don't have enough insurance
Yeah.
and can't buy insurance anymore because they're already older and it's very expensive for especially for long-term care. 70% of all people, 70 to 79% of anybody who, as they're getting older, will need some type of long term care benefit. This is in no way going to pay for everything
No.
that you need under long term care, but it will be a start.
Okay.
Medicare pays for about anywhere from 10 to 20% of some of those long term care costs. And most people at the end of the day just end up having to sign up for Medicaid, which is aid for the needy
Hmm.
at that age. And so and Medicaid has its own set of rules. So once you sign up for that, it's you're kind of locked in. It's not free. If you have property, it could be put a lien against it to pay it when something happens to you or when it's sold or anything like that. So there's other rules that go with Medicaid. But if you're able to get even a little bit of help, just like Social Security, the retirement and Social Security, it's not really meant for full retirement. You're not getting
Yeah.
a $5,000, $6,000 check to retire on. You're getting a little bit to help you. Same here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Long-term care, you're getting a little bit to help you out. And
Okay.
so between what you have saved up or what you have in cash or what you have, this will be just a little bit of help, just the same, just like the retirement under Social Security.
I
So,
think what confuses me is I know that there's Medicare, right? I have my mom. She's
right,
in her 80s. She's a healthy 80. I mean, she's not frail by
right.
any
She's
means.
young.
Yeah, right? She's a young 80. She really is
Mhm.
if you look at her. Um, and but it concerns me, with the whole long-term care because as she ages gracefully, I've been told like in order for her to like if she needed nursing home or something like that or even in-home care, like we'd have to spend down her money
Yeah,
and just show like basically she's
yeah,
impoverished um
yeah.
in order for her to
Impoverished.
even be able to apply.
Yeah.
Is that truly the case? I mean,
Yes.
we build up our wealth so we can take care of ourselves in when we're older, and then this. So I
Yeah.
think it's kind of a conflict.
Yeah, I mean, it is. This is why we need to take care of ourselves now rather than, when you get to, when you get to the, 70s and 80s. And, but it is, I mean, Medicaid is only given to you at that age when you've
Mm,
spent down all of your worth.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And unfortunately, that's just the way it is,
yeah.
because you don't qualify if you've got anything of worth that you could sell to get your care,
Right.
any
Yeah,
care, whether it's hospital, whether it's long-term care or anything like that. And
yeah,
I know I always hear that, well, I don't think they should do this to us. We should be able to pay for it if we want it and not pay for it if we don't want it. The bad
yeah,
thing is that when you get to 70 or 80 and you have a
mm,
heart attack and nobody can take care of you, you'll want to go into a nursing home and you'll need long-term care.
right. No,
You know,
absolutely.
unless you have and unless we sell your house and sell all your everything you have, right?
Yeah,
Get rid of your life insurance, get rid of everything you have, spend down all your worth, and then you would qualify for Medicaid.
yeah, yeah. And
So
and we had
really,
one of our persons say this is a wonderful conversation because these topics aren't really discussed, and it's like who do
you're
you
really
go to,
not,
or who. Any more
right?
information? Amanda, you have any more questions for
So
Ari?
I do. I have one more. Is it
Yeah.
going to be a payout when you're ready to use it, or will it be kind of like your Social Security where it comes in a little bit at a time?
Well, you're going to have to qualify for it, and then they'll pay. It's just like an insurance policy.
Okay.
They'll pay
Okay.
as it's coming in. They're not going to just say, "Here's your 35,000." I mean, 36,500 check. Boom, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
It really won't work that way. Mostly anything doesn't work that way because we don't really know where it's going at that
Yeah.
point, and we want to
Right.
make sure it's going to what it was meant to go to.
Yeah.
So, definitely. You won't be able to just cash it out if you think, I got to 100 and I'm healthy, so
Yeah.
I didn't use it, so I want it. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, it doesn't, everybody's just going to have to pay in. So I will run off some exemptions for this.
Okay. Great.
If you think you are going to live outside of the state of Washington when you retire, you might be able to be exempt.
Hmm.
If you are the spouse or a registered domestic partner of anybody, an active duty service member of the United States, you could get an exemption.
Hmm.
If you have a non-immigrant work visa, and that's how you're working, then you could get an exemption as well. If you're a veteran with 70% of service-connected disability rating or higher, then you could actually, the exemption for the veterans, they will receive once they do get their exemption, it's a permanent exemption. They'll never have to reapply for it, and they'll never have to do anything again, and they'll be qualified for the benefit when they get there.
Okay.
So, and when they need it, but there's a lot of exemptions on there as well. And when you're going to apply for your exemption, you will have to go into the commissioner's website to get that exemption. And like I said, unlike the previous exemption pathway, which had a deadline to apply for these exemptions, became available. So after January 1st of 2023,
Mhm.
the Employment Security Department is now responsible for processing any applications for those wishing to seek an exemption. So you'll have to go to the unemployment office,
Wow.
to the
Okay.
Employment Security Office to get that exemption. To seek that exemption under that. So, and if you want to receive updates, you can always go into the WACARES and sign up for the WACARES Fund mailing list to receive updates and information about your exemption and where it's at. You have to wait for approval. You signing up the forms doesn't automatically assume you are exempt. You are in a approval or non-approval state at that time, and then you will get a letter from them, from the Employment Security Department, letting you know whether you have been accepted or not.
Okay. Okay.
Now, you must take your exemption. If you get approved, you must submit a copy of that to your employer in order for him to stop the taking it out of your check. And
Okay.
if you don't do that, then you still will continue to get it taken out of your check.
Hmm.
The private insurance opt-out that they had before,
Right.
so that is no longer an option. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter if you go out to buy long-term care today, you're no longer exempt out of it because the insurance company's seen a 93% fluctuation in policies that they wrote. And then when they said they were going to hold off on it, over 70%, 68% of those applications or those policies that they put in place stop paying.
Wow. That's a
Yeah.
huge
It
flux.
is, it's a huge, and as an insurance agent, if they paid you out any commission, you had to pay that all back,
Yeah.
so
Oh my
that
goodness.
was really hard on a lot of
Mhm.
agents. So I would just say as an agent out there, remember, no one can sign up for long-term care and get an exemption now.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
had to do that before the end of 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amanda, did you have any other questions for
Oh
Ari?
man, the questions keep going, but
Yeah.
I know
Go
we're
ahead. No,
limited.
go ahead. We're having this discussion,
Oh
and I
man.
really want to open
Right,
that up. So go
right.
ahead,
No, this
Amanda.
is great. I think, a lot of our big questions are answered, but when you say
Yeah,
anything about insurance, it freaks people out and they just
yeah,
stop. And, I think that we know one of the big things is, instantly, we can't afford that. We can't pay for that,
right.
you know, but this is a good thing.
It actually I think it is a good thing. I mean, only because everybody always says they're going to save,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
over half of Americans don't have a savings account.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they live
Don't
paycheck to
have any
paycheck.
money,
Even if they make a ton of money, right? I still see
even if
people
they make a lot of
live
money. The more
paycheck
you
to
make,
paycheck.
the more you spend on you
Exactly.
today, and
Exactly.
then, we need to look forward to, and hopefully we won't need this, but then that means there'll be a fund there for possibly your children or your
Yeah.
grandchildren or
Oh, that's
anything. So
great.
you have to remember that it could be there for somebody else's use. Hopefully you won't have to use this.
Oh,
That
yeah.
is always the goal, is that we want to reach, but if we need to use this, it's there
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
to
that's
help
why we
us
have
out.
insurance
Well,
in
exactly,
case something
it's
happens.
that peace of mind, and insurance is peace of mind. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it really, people don't like it. They don't like to pay for it, but it's one of the necessary things, and so nice when you have it. When I have to pay out a life insurance policy to somebody who bought one, that is like the best feeling of anybody, because they're so happy they spent the money on life insurance when something happens to their loved one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
we never expect it, although we all know it's coming, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
But we never
Mhm.
expect it, and it never happens at a good time. So
Yeah.
Yep.
definitely, it's like one of those things that it's definitely, if you have questions, go to your insurance agent, and if you don't have one, hey, you've got one today. Definitely. So, but and if you have any questions, please feel free. My email's down there as well. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I realize a lot of people already have their own insurance agent that they like,
Sure.
so they should be able to shed some light on things as well. And the commissioner's website is so simple and easy to understand. So
Yeah.
even for the
Absolutely.
layman that's not in insurance, look under long-term care. It takes you to the walk cares. It really gives you a detailed look at everything, and pretty self-explanatory. I need to know about this, and then it takes you to the tab where you need to go. And so it's
Sure.
really easy to maneuver and to get in and out. And like I said, there's always an email there for the commissioner as well, so that he can give you more information from anyone there at the commissioner's office, and they're usually pretty good about getting back to you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much to the both of you, Ari and Amanda. I really appreciate your guys' time. We will have another episode segment because, as Amanda said, there's a lot of questions about insurance. And today, really, the topic was long term care, because that's
Yes.
coming in a couple weeks. And a lot of
Yes.
people don't know that it's coming
Yeah.
down the pike. And so
Yeah.
it's like,
Your check's going to be a little bit smaller.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we definitely will have another conversation, because Amanda, she sells homes. She's with Berkshire Hathaway. So if you ever have questions, she's got people in her pocket that will help you to get onto the right track. So thank you so much, Amanda, for being here.
Thank
And
you.
then I'm going to just promote again, Ari is having the continuing education one that is free. It's 3 hours in
3 hours.
person, June 20th from 9 to 12.
That's right.
And you can go ahead and you can register for that class in
Yeah.
person.
Come and meet other agents out there too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, again, my name is Monica Sanchez and I am your host. I'd love it if you'd tag me on Instagram. I now changed my logo to be easier to find, Monica Sanchez NIA. And to find more episodes, we also have it here. And you can watch different things, and then feel free to reach out to the people that you see here. So, thank you so much. I hope this
No
has
problem.
been helpful, and have a wonderful day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye, everybody.